Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, let's take up first the issue that the state brought up of a bad act that notice was only given on as of when?
Yesterday afternoon, Judge.
Okay.
And-
I've reviewed the cases. I received 4 cases from the state and the Linder, Linder case from the defense. I've reviewed those. Beyond what is in those cases, is there anything that the parties would like to argue?
Just that I think that the first question is actually going to be moot at this point. The state does not plan on calling the witness that we discussed yesterday in our case in chief. I do believe that 2 of the cases, though, are on point, saying that if defense calls witnesses that might have personal knowledge of it, we can go into those facts on cross-examination. But since we don't plan on going into any of that information in our case in chief or rebuttal, I don't think that this issue is relevant today.
Sense, you want to be heard?
In light of the state's position, not at this time, no.
Okay, yeah, I think that what it shows, and the court believes that it was not reasonable, the amount of notice that was given. However, from those cases, what I see is if there is testimony that is elicited regarding character, that it could be used at that point. That's what I believe those cases said. Yes, the general guidelines, there are no objections before the court, but that's what I see that you all have provided to me.
Thank you, Judge.
Fair enough.
All right, are we ready to bring in the jury?
Defense is, yes.
State's right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, for the jury.
You may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess you all know exactly how long it takes to get here because I think at 8:58, the deputy told me there were 5 of you, and then at 9:00, maybe 9, he said all of you are here. So thank you for being here on time. Today we will start the punishment phase in this child trial based on your verdict yesterday. State, are you ready to proceed with an opening argument?
Your Honor, we waive opening at this time.
Defense?
Very brief opening, Your Honor.
May?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir, your microphone. Oh, it's right here.
Judge, can we approach real quick?
Again. I think that's right. State, please call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Carissa Ellis.
Deputy, wait right there. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please have a seat. You now know that that microphone moves up and down and
Yes.
can move closer to you. Just want to make sure that everyone can hear you, so please attempt to get it there as close as you can. One more time, tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Carissa Ellis, Karisssaellis.
State,
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Carissa. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Okay. How did you feel when we told you about the verdict yesterday?
Just felt a sense of relief. The weight was lifted off my shoulders. It felt surreal. It's been 5 years, so it felt surreal.
Okay. So now I want to talk about how this whole thing has affected you. So starting back in 2019, how did Lincoln Pearson sexual assault of you affect you as a college student?
It was really scary. I was alone in a new city, alone in a new city, a new school. And, very many people. The closest thing I had was my phone to call and FaceTime my dad and my family. And it was just scary. It was lonely.
How has it affected you as you've grown up?
It was difficult. I learned to take a step back and maybe not be as stressing, a bit of injury. But I learned that I was a victim, but that's not how I see myself. I'm proud of who I am today. I think I've grown and I think I've come to the long way. I have a beautiful daughter, and I can't wait to raise her to be strong, and confident, kind, and compassionate towards others.
Have you had to work pretty hard to get to where you are today?
It was a lot of figuring those feelings. And then it was a lot of working for Neidhardt and reopening that, and, every time I get a phone call from here, either, you know, trouble was reset, or it's just reset one year after year. And it just felt like it was never, it was always gonna be a victim. It felt like this was never meant to see the day of life. I felt like this was just gonna get rid of away.
How have you felt knowing that he's just been living his life for the last 5 years?
I want to think about him, to be honest. I hope that he is also grown as a person. I hope that he's not the same person, personally, same with them. But it sucks sometimes.
Do you feel like now you can finally start to put this behind you?
Yes,
Pass the witness, John.
That's,
Just a few questions, Your Honor.
go ahead.
Carissa, thank you for being here.
Mr. Courier,
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Has the prosecutor discussed with you what obligations Lincoln's gonna have now that he has been convicted of sexual assault? That he would be required to register as a sex offender, for instance?
yes,
That he'll be required to register annually on his birthday.
yes,
That he would be required to register anytime he moves.
yes,
And that regardless of this jury's verdict, that those would all be requirements that he will have to live with for the rest of his life.
yes.
Okay. And you mentioned something there that I wanted to ask you about. I mean, fair to say, when this incident happened, I mean, this was a long time ago, was it not?
Yes.
5 years ago. Unfortunately, 5 years ago. How old were you then?
23,
23. And college student,
yes,
figuring things out, fair to say. And Lincoln was about the same age. Is that fair, roughly?
I think so,
Okay. You've had a daughter since then,
yes,
and you have a family?
yes,
That's great. Fair to say that you've grown a lot since then,
yes,
that your life now looks very different than it did at the age of 23.
yes,
That you've matured a lot since then,
yes,
that you've learned a lot of things about yourself and about the world.
yes,
And you mentioned, of course, you haven't seen Lincoln since that day, since September 28th, 2019.
Correct.
But it would certainly be your hope that he's grown since then as well.
mhm,
We do a lot of growing from our early 20s into our 30s and beyond. Would you agree with that? I know I certainly did. I was a student here at Texas State as well, Southwest Texas then, to age myself a little bit, but I know I did a lot of growing from my time here. And you would agree with me that time between our early 20s and into our late 20s, that's an important time to mature.
great, yeah.
I'll pass it to Sherman.
State,
Nothing further, Your Honor.
may this witness be released?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You're free to go about your business. State, please call your next witness.
State calls Max. The county clerk. This.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
You please have a seat. Adjust yourself close to that microphone. The base will move closer and up and down. Max, do you have a last name?
Hernandez,
Okay, if you could tell us your full name and spell it for the court reporter.
Maximiliano Hernandez, Maximiliano, Hernandez.
State.
Judge, may we approach?
Okay. State.
Thank you. Max, what is your position here in Hayes County?
I'm the Assistant District Clerk for Hayes County.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may.
A document? Max, what did I just hand you?
An order on conditions of bond.
For who?
Lincoln Anthony Pearson.
As a assistant district clerk, are you able to say that that is a true and correct copy of the bond conditions for the defendant in this case?
Correct. It's got a true and correct stamp in our certification at the bottom of it.
And that was going to be my second question. Is it a certified copy of those bond conditions for this case?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers, I guess, state's punishment 1 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
SXP1 will be admitted.
Is it marked?
Not yet. We will.
Mark it now, please.
What are those bond conditions for the defendant?
Specifically the ones on here or just
Yeah,
generally?
yes.
Okay. Number 1, shall appear in court as directed. Number 2, shall not possess any alcohol, illegal drugs, or controlled substances. Number 3, shall not use any prescription medication except as directed and prescribed by a doctor. Number 4, shall submit to drug testing as directed by the court. Number 5, shall not have threatening, assaultive, or harassing contact with any victim, co-defendant, or witness by phone, written communication, digital communication, social media, in person, by third party, or any other means. And number 6, shall commit no offense against the laws of Texas, the United States, or any other state.
When was that signed?
This was signed November 23rd, 2020.
Possible witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
No questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be released?
Yes, Judge.
Defense. May he be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You're free to go about your business.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
State calls Matt Grantham.
He's having.
Please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat. And you can adjust that mic up and down, move the base as close as you need, probably about a fist apart so that it picks you up. If you would, please tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
My name is Matthew Grantham, Mattthew Grantham.
State.
Mr. Grantham, how are you employed currently?
I'm an investigator for the Hayes County Criminal District Attorney's Office,
How long have you been an investigator for the DA's office?
about 18 years.
What did you do before becoming an investigator for the DA's office?
I was a detective for the Caldwell County Sheriff's Office,
How long were you a detective?
about 3 years over there.
And before being a detective,
I was a dispatch supervisor and a deputy on patrol.
to be all of those positions, are you required to be a peace officer in the state of Texas?
Except for being a dispatch supervisor, yes, sir.
Are you a peace officer in the state of Texas?
Yes, sir.
What does it take to become a peace officer in the state of Texas?
We go through an academy, there's a minimum standard by TCO, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Education. And once you complete basic academy, you can take a test for the state to achieve a basic peace officer license.
And you did that,
Yes, sir.
and you passed.
Yes, sir.
Have you kept up that certification throughout your time in law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
What are your roles as an investigator in the Hayes County DA's office?
The primary role is to locate witnesses, victims, and get them served with subpoenas to be in court. Also, we get documents, and we work at the leisure of the prosecutors, whatever they need. I'm also testify to prints and identification in court. And I went to a 40-hour basic fingerprint identification class for that.
Do you know why you're testifying here today?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
I was told we need to prove up a out-of-state judgment to the defendant here in court today.
Have you seen that judgment before?
Yes, sir.
Are there fingerprints on it?
No, sir.
So what do investigators like yourself have to do to prove up judgments when there are no fingerprints to look at?
We look for other matching characteristics and demographics.
When you say matching characteristics and demographics, what do you mean?
We definitely check the name, first, middle, last. We try to find date of birth, social security number. There's also unique numbers that we look for. They're called SID numbers, state identification numbers. California will have their own, Texas will have their own. And then there's a unique identifier that's used all across the United States, the FBI number. And so we try to match all those numbers up. I can't even look at height, weight, but that's sometimes not updated very good on documents. We look at photos, just anything we can get to help prove that a person is the same person we're trying to match in documents.
Even something like address, things like that?
Correct, driver's license, address.
So really, any identifying information that can corroborate the person from a judgment is the same person.
Correct.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
May.
Now, in this case, without fingerprints, what did you do specifically to go about trying to prove up the judgment that we might have?
I started out I just rented his Texas driver's license with a photo, and I ran his criminal history, and I got that all printed out. And then we also requested any documents from the Hayes County Jail when he was booked in for identification purposes. And I got those documents, and then I started using those to compare to all the information we had from the California paperwork that we needed to prove that it was the same person.
And the California paperwork that we're talking about, is that a certified copy of a judgment?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, without fingerprints, what are the information that you were able to compare and confirm between the information that you pulled for this defendant and the information that was on that California judgment?
Okay. Well, first, there's three sets of documents with the California judgment.
And what were those?
One was the actual judgment, and it's labeled as a misdemeanor DUI traffic judgment minutes. And then the second group of documents was a plea of guilty, no contest misdemeanor set of documents. And the last set was the complaint documents for the misdemeanor, if the charge started there in California.
And so what were the identifying information that you found in that, I guess, judgment packet that then you'd be looking to corroborate in our own information?
The identifying information I found was on the judgment. I did find the name and first, middle, last initial. That was corresponded to the documents we have from Hayes County and through DPS, driver's license and CCH. I did find the date of birth. Did find a case number listed on the judgment. It was also corresponded to a same case number in CCH in California.
And let's actually, when we go through these, let's actually say what that identifying information is. So the name on the judgment is what?
Name on the judgment is Lincoln A. Pearson.
And what is the name that we have in our documents from his?
Lincoln Anthony Pearson.
And you mentioned the date of birth. What is the date of birth on the California judgment?
Date of birth of the California judgment is 4/26/95.
And what is the date of birth that we have in the Hayes County documents that you pulled for this defendant?
4/26/1995.
And you mentioned, what was the third thing? That you,
The case number.
what was the case number on the California judgment?
Case number was M263545.
And what was the case number that you saw in the defendant's criminal history that we pulled in Hayes County?
It was the same.
Can you read it out? Just
M263545.
in addition to those three identifiers, was there anything else that you found?
Yes, sir. I found the booking number. There's a booking number listed on the judgment, and that is 19764037.
And where did you find that same booking number elsewhere?
It was on the CCH under the arrest information.
And when you say CCH, what is that?
Computerized criminal history,
And what is the booking number on the CCH?
19764037A.
In addition to those four identifiers, did you find anything else?
Just in general terms, the date of conviction for the misdemeanor charge in California was the same date of conviction in the CCH.
And what was that date?
January 8th, 2020.
In the judgment from California, in that package, is there also a address for the defendant that's listed?
Yes, sir.
And what is that address?
1810 Nelson Ranch Loop, Cedar Park, Texas.
And do we have a similar address and information that we pulled here in Hayes County?
Yes, sir. And it is also on his driver's license.
And just for the record purposes, what is the address on the driver's license?
1810 Nelson Ranch Loop, Cedar Park, Texas.
Any other identifiers?
Yes, sir. In the plea of guilty section, no contest for the misdemeanor. I did find a phone number, and we have access to another database called TLO through TransUnion Credit Company. And that number shows to also be our current number for a person named Lincoln Anthony Pearson.
So other than those 6 identifiers, is there anything else?
The only other thing that I found, was on the complaint, it did have his full name spelled out, first, middle, and last name, Anthony. I'm sorry, Lincoln Anthony Pearson.
So with those 7 identifiers, do we have any fingerprints in this case with the information that you pulled, at least here in Hayes?
Yes, sir.
And where would you see fingerprints in the information that you pulled here in Hayes County?
They were in the booking documents we requested from the jail.
And how many booking documents were you able to request?
There were 3 different ones.
And what were those for?
Judge Wainwright?
Dimension.
Into the microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome. State.
Yes. Just asking a general question, are the fingerprints that we have on all of his booking information, similar to each other?
Correct. I compared each, set of prints, for this defendant every time that it was handled, and that all is the same person. Yes, sir.
That Lincoln Anthony Pearson with all of those identifiers that you just went through?
Correct.
Your Honor, pass the witness. Well, actually, Your Honor, state offers, state's punishment 2 into evidence, which is the certified judgment out of California.
No objection.
State's exhibit P2 is admitted.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Vince,
Judge may approach.
you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. How are you, sir?
I'm good, sir.
Good.
Judge. There are 3 different packets up here. Are they all PGs?
Yes.
Oh,
No, just the certified judgment is P2. The other are just for his comparison.
Okay, got it.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
May.
Thank you, Your Honor. And, it's probably Sergeant Investigator Grantham, is that right?
I'll respond to anything, sir.
Okay, fair enough. I got it this time, Ruby. Yes. Investigator or Sergeant Investigator Grantham, thank you for being here this morning. You ran his computerized criminal history, his CCH in this case, correct?
Correct.
And that California DUI, you have those records up there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the arrest date for that offense, that was October 10th, 2019, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you're aware generally of the allegations in this case that this jury heard evidence and testimony about this week, correct?
No, sir, not there. I'm not assigned to this case as the investigator working the case. I'm just the person for comparison.
Okay, fair enough. Are you aware that it's a 2019 case? This case?
I believe so. I was aware of that.
Okay. And you ran that computerized criminal history, that CCH.
I'm not sure if I ran this specific one. I have one in my packet also,
Okay,
so they're both the same.
fair enough. And does that CCH reflect that conviction relief was granted on January 28th, 2023 per California Code 1203.425 PC?
Yes, sir.
And you're not from California?
No, sir, and I read that statute. I couldn't understand it, frankly, so I got with the prosecutor on it
Sure.
and asked her about it.
And what was that conversation?
She said she'd review it, and she got back with me and just said she believes that she can use this, and it doesn't pertain to court proceedings.
But that the conviction has maybe been, that some relief related to that conviction has been granted. Is that fair?
I was understanding that possibly for like employment or something else. I didn't understand California law.
Well, like a lot of stuff that comes out of court in California, it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
No, it did
Yeah,
not. No,
okay.
sir.
Fair enough. We can definitely agree on that. Are you familiar with non-disclosure, the concept of non-disclosure here in the state of Texas?
Yes, sir. I've seen it on criminal histories also.
Okay. Does it look similar to that?
There's a little verbiage in there about the non-disclosure. It doesn't look real similar to this, but it is listed in the, under comments under the CCH. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And we're not disputing at all that Lincoln Pearson in that judgment for that DUI out of California with an offense date of October 10th, 2019, this Lincoln Pearson at all. I'm not fighting with you over that. It is.
Okay.
I'm just trying to pin down what implications that has if that is a conviction for legal purposes because of that relief that's been granted under that California law. But if you don't have any knowledge of that,
Knowledge of,
what that law is and the implications that it has.
like I said, I read it and I can't understand it fully, no, sir.
Fair enough. But you know that based on your running of that criminal history, that conviction relief was granted on January 28th, 2023.
That's what it states in the comment section. Yes, sir.
On the criminal history
Correct.
that you referenced.
Yes, sir.
Pass the witness, Sean.
State,
Judge, we would just ask that this court take judicial notice of the state of California Penal Code section 1203.425 as it is law from another state and is a type of thing that this court can take judicial notice of. And we would just ask that one section be read into the record through that judicial notice.
defense,
No objection, Your Honor.
you may.
Under yes, under A4J of section 1203.425, in a subsequent prosecution of the defendant or any other offense, the prior conviction may be pleaded and proved and shall have the same effect as if the relief had not been granted.
Anything else for this witness?
No, Judge.
May he be released?
Yes.
No objection.
Thank you, sir. You're free to go about your business.
Thank you, sir.
State, please call your next witness.
You understand that the state calls Dulce Brown? Or if we just could have a moment to confer with the defense.
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, before we get started with this witness, I do think there's something that I need to show the defense for them to review, just for efficiency's sake, so that we don't have to stop in the middle of our testimony and do this. I don't know, we've only just gotten started, but can we take a 5-minute break?
You can step back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. Ready to proceed, State?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
If you would please stand for me. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please have a seat. Line yourself up with that microphone, please, and the bass will move forward, back and forward, and up and down. If we get just a little bit closer, we'll make sure we can hear you. There you go. Please tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
School said Brown for the case Vaughn, it's like legal name now. DULCE
Spell your new last
Okay,
name too.
VAUGHAN.
State?
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, I apologize not getting your last name correct. How do you know Lincoln Pearson?
He's the father of my child.
Okay, how long have you known him?
We have started dating, I think, around 2017,
Okay. When was your child born?
2020, 2018, sorry. Something.
How old is that child now?
My daughter is 6.
How would you describe that relationship with Lincoln Pearson?
Caring for my child
No, sorry, between you and him.
currently. Okay. Currently, we have orders for him to have visitation through the court. And when there's pickup and drop off, I generally have my current husband be the middle person to drop off my daughter or be at the door when he comes to the door.
Why do you do that?
I don't like looking at him.
Is that because of how your relationship was when you guys were together?
Yes.
How would you describe that relationship
Our past relationship.
when you were together?
I think there was good times that really hit all the bad times. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Excuse me. There were a lot of good times that I felt like magnified. Like I would try to like see the good parts of the relationship. But there were bad times.
Well, let's talk first about a specific bad time. Do you remember an incident from November 27th of 2018, around Thanksgiving that year?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
November 27th, 2018.
Okay, very bad with dates, but we're referring to, when, my mother called the police because of a domestic violence incident. And yes, I do remember.
Okay. And was that around Thanksgiving?
I believe so, because I believe he was getting, therapy for, he had like some thyroid issue.
Okay. And were you with him that whole day?
I believe so, yes. We were spending that time together to, take care of my daughter.
How old was she?
I think she was. She's really little, like, she's still, like, she was also premature, so I can't really remember.
What would you say? She was still a baby,
Yeah, she was a baby,
a little baby?
a very small baby, she's premature, she was 4 pounds, 12 ounces when she was born, so
Okay. And the three of you were being a family.
trying, yes.
Okay. And something went wrong that day.
So my daughter was really sick and I just wanted some help because, I just wanted some help because I was very tired. And he was like refusing to help me with my daughter. And I wanted to just go lay down and take a nap. And he wanted to continue playing his like game. So I started getting all my stuff ready because I wanted to go home to my mom to help me with my child. But I also like had stayed there because, you know, he kept convincing me that he would help me and then no fruits, no, he wouldn't help me. And my daughter was really sick, so I was getting worried. My mom's a nurse, so I was like, maybe I should just go, like, she can help me.
Did you tell him, I'm gonna leave?
No, I didn't say anything yet, because I was kind of
worried that it would anger him if I left.
Okay, you started packing up your stuff.
So I started packing up my stuff while the door was kind of closed. And I have to walk back and forth from the living room to the kitchen where her formula was. Because I was also supplementing her formula while breastfeeding because she was premature. And she was really sick. So I had like Pedialyte, all those things, they're just on the counter. And I had to put them like organized, or else he would get upset if I didn't have everything organized, if I made a mess. So I had everything all in one spot, so it was quick for me to grab everything. And, so as soon as I grabbed everything, I put it in the bag I had, and I had put my daughter already in her car seat to just click her in really quick in my car. And she's sitting, the carrier is sitting on the, couch in the living room, and, I went, after I packed everything up, I went to go say like one last thing to him, and I went to go turn off his game, it's a monitor on a computer. And so you could just turn the power button off, on the bottom.
Let me ask you a question right there. Were you angry with him at that point?
Yes, I was angry, but I was trying to get a reaction, but I didn't think I was gonna get this kind of reaction from somebody.
So you wanted to turn his game off to make him talk to you?
Yeah, I was like, I'm leaving, and just,
What happened when you went to turn the game on?
I had missed the power button and I had accidentally hit the disc, where you put discs in. And it's a easily clip piece that can clip back on, for the disc to come out. And I had missed the power button with my finger and I hit it and it just fell off. And he started screaming at me, and I looked at him and I started running out, and
Let me ask you, you said you looked at him and started running out. Why did you start to run out?
well, because I saw the look on his face from previous encounters I had with him. When he gets angry, he's just not there, I guess.
What does that look mean to you?
Like run.
And what happened then?
There was like a broom outside his door. And I still have to grab my daughter who's on the couch, but I was so scared that I left my daughter on the couch and he was hitting me over and over with the broom. And the broom dust can that's connected to it shattered on my arm and it scratched me. And there was he was hitting me over and over on my arm and my back.
Did it
And then
hurt?
yes, it hurt, and I left my daughter inside, and I was scared.
Did you have a visible injury from that
Yes.
thing? May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Meg?
Let me show you what I've marked as state exhibits P3 and P4 for exhibits. Do you recognize these?
Mhm.
Are these true and accurate depictions of your injury from that night?
100%, yes.
This time, Your Honor, I'd offer states P3 and P4. Under your defense counsel.
No objection, Your Honor.
State's exhibit P3 is admitted
And P4, Your Honor.
and P4 also admitted.
And Your Honor, once we get the elbow working and permission to publish.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You still have a scar from that
Yes,
night?
I do.
Is that scar a painful reminder of what happened?
It is because my daughter actually, not too long ago, goes and touches it. She'll just touch it, and I'm like, man, dude, it's so hard. Oh, I just long that happened. And I'm just I can't tell you that you're dead, that that's me. So I said, oh, I just got boo boo. What happens? Just healed like that.
Does she do that often?
Probably has done it like 3 times, and I just told her like stop now, because I'm like. I'm just triggered.
So looking at P3 on the screen, it's a little bit, I guess, hard to see if it glare. Excuse me. On your upper arm, it's kind of like, looks, I mean, it kind of looks like a bite mark. That's not a bite mark, though, right?
No, that's the plastic breaking from the desk hand onto my arm, and it's probably the dirt from the
Okay.
roof.
And then P4, we can see both of them better, where the blood is dripping from. What was that from? Some focuses. There we go. They'll say if you can look at. Well, are they both from the room breaking or plastic breaking?
It could be from the room and stick itself, because it did bend, and there was, you know, it's like metal.
Okay. How long after this happened to you, did you talk to the police?
They were like there immediately, probably maybe. I would say 2 to 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes.
Were you still upset?
Yes, it was.
Were you still crying?
Yes.
Were you still bleeding?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you tell them what happened to you?
I think eventually I did, yes.
Let me show you what I, oops, right, yeah. it's not- Let me show you what I've marked as P5. Do you recognize this disc? And have you reviewed the clip of the officer's body cam?
Body cam.
The clip of the officer's body cam contained on this disc.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and is it a true and accurate representation of the statement that you gave that night to the
Yes,
police?
it is.
At this time, Your Honor, I'd offer states P5, tendered to defense counsel.
Judge, we've reviewed that. We'll object to hearsay.
It's an excited utterance, Your Honor, and I believe she has testified properly to lay that out.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break. You'll have your morning break now. Remember my instructions, don't discuss this case. You'll only discuss this case again when you are all together and deliberating. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
All right, rise for the jury.
Put into the record what we're gonna see and
Oh, yes.
play the video.
So, Your Honor, this is a clip of the body cam of Officer Collier that night interacting with Dulce. She testified that this was 2 to 5 minutes after the incident, that she was upset, she was crying, she was still actively bleeding from the incident.
Being pretty excited, a little scary for me, because I go top of it and it shatters. You know, I like that,
State argument to defense's objection.
Yes, Your Honor, it's an excited utterance, exception to the hearsay, given the fact that she is still clearly under the effects of the offense and experiencing high emotions.
Any other thing?
We'll rest on our objection, Your Honor.
Okay, very well. Objections overruled. State's exhibit 5 will be admitted in front of the jury. Let's take 10 minutes while we have the opportunity.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're in recess.
Ruby silent.
Oh, and Judge,
Yes.
can Mr. Pearson be taken back for a comfort break?
Yes.
Or anything if he needs it?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're gonna stand in just a second. And sit now. Well,
All rise for the jury.
you may be seated. Back on the record, 6 exhibit 5 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor, and may we publish it to the jury?
You may.
Be pretty smooth, little scooper, because I go on top of it and it shatters. You know, I like that, I got up and.
So did you stay with him in a relationship after that night?
Yes, I actually went back after that.
Ms. Whitaker, the mic.
Oh, I apologize. Why did you go back?
Well, he convinced me that he would help me raise my daughter. He never apologized either. He just acted like it never really happened. And I, kind of moved on, I guess, and I ended up leaving my job because he told me that he would help me take care of my child, and I ended up living with him and his mom and his dad in Lincoln at their house.
Did you think he would change?
Yes,
Did he?
no,
Had he put his hands on you other times besides this?
yes.
Okay. Can you describe one of those times for us?
One of the times was,
Yes. I'm gonna object, may I approach?
You may. Right. Get like.
Yes. I was. About that, and I was calling that you described them.
Right.
One of those. I did a business meeting, which is like giving the talking about the summer. After I knew where I did this, I did the history of 2050 stuff. After you know, included these moving between the file and all the two steps. And so I believe if I witness summary, that if I did in the summer, with this, I should know this, that we're going to talk about.
Put that over to you. Sure. It's there.
You see what day is that?
This is the.
Yes, sir, if you'd like to see it, there's these, after, this is about this incident, and then it starts about the.
What year?
Yeah, no, it's this one here, as well as these last two both. I believe, I would have to remember itself, and sort of like, the discovery receipt of some of them being there. So if you need to, I can, give this, at the family, a couple of report to put into the record for the purpose of this. Do we know what that is? We'll find out on March 18th. Yes.
Thank you.
May I proceed, John?
May.
Thank you. Okay, Dulce, could you go ahead and describe one of these other incidences?
Okay, so one of the times we went to one of his friends, Shane, who was having a baby with a girl, I believe her name's Abby, it was her baby shower. We did all the things that at a normal baby shower that you do, but then the party started to escalate. And I had brought my daughter there, you know,
Well, let me ask you, what do you mean the party started to escalate?
started to not be a baby shower. It started, there was more drinking, I think, you know, people were just getting rowdy, taking shots, like the mom had left the baby shower because it was of her own boyfriend's house, because it was getting too much.
Okay, was Lincoln drinking?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead. So you said it was getting more rowdy and you had your baby there and then
my
what?
mom, Lincoln's mother was there as well,
Okay,
because it was a baby shower. It's supposed to be family friendly. It started escalating, getting more rowdy. And I wanted to go home with my daughter and the father of my baby. And I told him, and which is right down the street, you know, it's like a block away from their residence. And I had said I wanted to leave. He said no, stay longer. I waited a little longer.
and just to clarify, it wasn't just that he didn't want to leave or he didn't want you to leave either?
No, he didn't want to leave. I wanted him to leave with me.
Okay.
To take care of my daughter. It's like already like past 11. I think it was 11 at the time I said I wanted to leave. And I'm pretty sure he had already told me that we were going to leave, you know, together. Well, like, I wouldn't think that he was gonna stay the night there. Well,
At some point, did you decide you were leaving?
yes, at one point I decided I wanted to leave and I said, can we go? He looked at it, gave his mom this kind of look, and she said, I'll take her home, which meaning back to their house where I was on and off staying.
Okay.
And then I told her on our way out, I said, you know, this is why your son acts the way he does, because you let him get away with this kind of behavior. And I continued to go strap my daughter in the car. And I hear this inaudible yelling in my direction, but it's a party that's, you know, I'm not thinking that someone's like gonna come fight me right now. And so I strap my daughter in and immediately I close the door, I'm hearing the yelling, I continue to walk around the vehicle to get to the passenger side because his mom is driving. And so I go to walk to the passenger side, and as soon as I get to the back of the vehicle, Lincoln comes running at me and full sprint and like trucks me like a football player. And I flew probably like 3 feet into the grass. And when I fell to the ground, I turned over to get up and he had I had long hair extensions at this point. At this point in time, they're like 18 inches, so they're like down to my back. And somehow he has my hair and he's saying all these funny names, you know, and then I twist to get up and he has my hair and I'm scratching. And I think I'm pretty sure I scratched him on the face because this is why I didn't want to report it. Because usually whoever reports it, or like if they have like injuries, they would go to jail, right? So
So
I'm
you were-
scared.
You were afraid you would go to jail.
Right, and the mom is screaming at me, calling me names, like, you stupid B-word, like, get in the car, so I'm trying to jump in the vehicle while she's driving, you know, and cursing at me, and I have to like go to this house with them, to their house and stay there. And she took my baby into her room because she was trying to keep me from leaving with my daughter that night, I guess. Maybe trying to de-escalate it. And I waited until like around 3 in the morning when I knew everybody was asleep, and I went and knocked on her door, and I opened the door, and I grabbed my daughter, and I went to my vehicle to leave, and she tried to give me money to not say anything about that incident.
How much money did she offer you?
She gave me $100 and tried to hug me, and I snatched $100 out of her hand and told her not to touch me.
So you took the money.
I did take money, because I didn't have money, I didn't have a job.
And did you call the police?
No.
Was there another time that he locked you out of the house?
There is another time, this is actually before my daughter was born, and she should have been a clear sign to not be with this person.
What happened? It's okay, take your time.
So we were out. We were out, we were dressed very nicely, and we had a very good time. We got home to his apartment in St. Marcus. And, you know, nice clothes, they're kind of annoying to wear all night, right? And I didn't have my clothes at his apartment at this time to, like, I was living across the street from his apartment, in my own apartment, and I didn't have all my clothes there, so I asked to wear his clothes to bed. I changed into my clothes. Somehow an argument starts happening. And we both had been drinking, right? But I'm not like so crazy drunk, I don't know that I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on, like. He starts arguing, we start arguing about something, but, while the argument's happening, he's emptying my purse into the bathtub, turning the water on, so all my things are getting wet out of my purse. I'm like, I don't care about the purse, so I look and, I try to reach for my phone. It's on the bed, and I guess cause like, you know, all this is happening, it kind of like falls through the bottom of the bed, and he has his bed against the wall in his apartment. And so I have to crawl under the bed to grab my phone. So I crawl under the bed really quick to grab my phone. He drags me by my feet, rips me out from under the bed before I can grab my phone. So now I'm like, okay, I don't care about my phone. I live across the street. I'm gonna run across the street. He's dressing me in my clothes. He ripped my clothes, his shirt, his underwear. He ripped it in half off of me. So now I'm naked. Right, and so I leave out the front door, or no, I'm like trying to grab my or still trying to grab my clothes at this point. Cause like I'm not gonna walk out there naked, and I guess he just didn't want me to wear his clothes, something like that. This is like all happening really fast, so I go to try to grab my clothes, he grabs my clothes, he throws them in the water, in the bathtub. And then he grabs me, or like shoves me out the door, closes the door, so now I'm locked outside the apartment, naked. You know, it's like a college area, it's kind of like embarrassing, but I don't see anybody out there, so I run over to like 2 houses or apartments down. I go to knock on the door, I see somebody open it, I'm screaming, like, can you help me, can you let me in? I don't know if he's calling me, or like, what's gonna happen? So I'm like, hey, can you let me in, can you let me in? Nobody, they like, open the window, they look, they didn't let me in. And so I turn around and I see a flashlight walking toward me, and I think it's somebody who sees me and is gonna help me. But it's not, it's Lincoln filming me, humiliating me, telling me, look at me, look at you, nobody's such a slut, blah, 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 look at you, like nobody's gonna believe you. Saying like, saying things to me. And I see past him and I see a police car driving by, and I start running toward my apartment, and I, you know, and like kind of going from bush to bush. And I guess he saw the police vehicle as well passing by. And because it's like a college like area, so there's a lot of police in the area. And so the police car drives by and I start kind of running toward that area, and I don't know, but he gets in his car really quickly, which is in front of his apartment, and I'm still on like the main road, which his apartment's on the main road. He's parked in front of his apartment, so he gets in his house, has his keys, turns the car around before I can even make it to the main road, convinces me to get in the vehicle. I told him, no, whatever, and another police car drives by, and he's like, you're gonna get public indecency if somebody sees you like that. So I get in the vehicle, because I don't want to get in trouble, and so, for being a kid, or whatever. And so I go to my house, or he drops me off at my house, and I jump out of the car really fast, and I go to lock the door behind me, and he ran around the other side when I had locked him out, because I have a sliding door, and he let himself into the sliding door to my apartment, and basically had to sleep with him, not having sex. I mean, like sleep and lay in the bed with him naked. I don't think I even put any clothes on. Like, and he was just holding me, and I just didn't say anything. I just wanted to go to sleep, and I wanted it to be over.
Did you want him there?
No, I did not want him there. I tried to lock the door and let himself in through the back.
Did you tell him to leave?
No, I was too scared.
They'll say, has he ever forced you to have sex?
I'm kidding. I don't think so. I don't know, really. I'm not sure.
What do you mean by you're not sure?
Because like you're in this relationship, sometimes people want to have sex, sometimes people don't. Sometimes you want to make your partner happy.
Are you pressuring?
I'll just say no.
That's what it's your.
Vince?
A few questions, Your Honor. Thank you. Dulce, thank you for being here. You started off your testimony by saying that there were some good times that amplified the bad times.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that? What do you mean by that?
Well, he was very good at manipulating his words to make you, think you're having such a good day, but then at the end of that day, he would make you feel, like, I guess crap about yourself. At the end of it, like it'd be such a great day, like you go to ACL or do fun things because, he would get money from his mom or his dad or something to go do something fun, but then at the end of those, you have to go back home and you're there with that person that's still being ugly to you, whether it's verbal abuse or if he put his hands on you.
How long were you guys together?
So it's a little bit of a blur. It feels like 2 to 3 years we were together.
Okay.
Maybe 2016.
Okay. So you were together for 3 years.
Something on and off. It was on and off all the time because of the times that I was abused. I would break up with him, and then he would text me or show up to where I was when I was out because Snapchat shows your location.
Okay, so you would break up with him.
Yes, And then one of the times I broke up with him, I was out on a date with another person and he showed up because my Snapchat location was there.
And did you get back together with him after that?
Probably like eventually, yeah, probably like 2 weeks, it would be like 2 weeks of time maybe that we wouldn't talk. And
Okay.
then you just show back up with like gifts or like things like that. Never an apology, never said sorry.
And you would get back together with him?
Yes,
Can you, in that timeline, put the incident with the apartment complex and the ripped shirt, when did that?
rip shirt. Oh, okay, yes, when I was naked outside. the
Yes.
door. Can I put a time? So I was, in my apartment. I left my apartment around July,
Dulce,
yes.
when in kind of the timeline of your relationship did that?
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
the rip shirt was before my daughter,
Okay,
okay? The time with the baby shower was
Okay.
after the incident that you saw on the video. With the police, with the actual report, so
Okay.
the rip shirt incident. Right, and then it was the
baby
groom,
shower,
no, the
okay,
groom,
okay,
okay, and then it was the baby shower.
okay,
And then after the baby shower, I still would go over there to his mother's house and try and work it out until I completely severed the relationship because he was lying about going to work when I was jobless, living at his mom's house. And like,
so Dulce, hold on a second. So the incident with the rib shirt,
okay,
that happened first, is that fair?
yes, that's fair.
Okay. You mentioned that he had,
It's not the first time though. It was not the first time.
okay, and I understand. You mentioned something with a thyroid issue that he had.
Right, and that was during the.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He had thyroid cancer,
He did,
okay? Not just an issue, he had
Mhm.
aggressive thyroid cancer that had spread to his lymph nodes
Right.
around this time.
Mhm.
And that's when this diagnosis first happened. Is that fair? Right around this general time, I mean,
I think he was going to get treatment,
okay.
maybe 2 days after this had happened.
The next day after this, right, he was
Something
going
like
in.
that. Yes, I was telling the
Dulce?
officer to arrest him.
Dulce. So this nice lady right here is taking down everything that we say.
Okay,
And so we have to, I know during
I'll
conversation, that's okay. It's kind of a weird setup, isn't it? You're testifying, I'm over here asking questions. It's not a conversation. But she can only take down one statement at a time.
okay,
Fair?
okay.
He was going in for radiation treatment the next day.
Yes,
Is that fair?
yes,
For cancer in his thyroid.
yes,
Okay, and I think you reported to the prosecutor that this thyroid issue had caused some problems with his hormones around that time.
yes, he was gaining weight.
Okay. That was an aggressive cancer during that time. That was affecting his health in general and his hormones, his body. Would you agree with me?
I think that had some play.
Okay, and I want to ask you about that. During these incidents that you described, was alcohol present?
No, there was no alcohol at the time that that the domestic violence with the groom.
Okay.
was going on, that,
Okay, but the other two,
yes,
did you observe him to have an issue with alcohol?
yes,
Okay, do you think that was a significant factor
in which time?
in general?
Significant factor for what?
Do you think that negatively impacted his life,
Yes,
alcohol dependency?
I'm not sure, like,
Well, I mean,
Sure,
you
even
were with him
that-
for,
I mean. he
You were
didn't
with him for
drink
3 years.
every
Hold on.
day. Oh, so
Let's not talk over each other.
so you were with him for 3 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time,
On and off, yes,
okay? And over that time, you had a good opportunity, would you disagree with me, to observe his behavior?
yes,
Okay, and to be fair, you described some of that behavior to the members of this jury. Correct?
yes,
Okay. Do you think that alcohol was a negative influence on his ability to lead a positive lifestyle?
yes,
Okay. You described that your relationship was tumultuous. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to quote you. I don't think you ever used that word. How would you describe the relationship? Was it rocky?
it was good for probably 6 months, I'd say, and then that's when his true colors showed.
Okay. Was it toxic?
Yes, when he would drink and it would, intensify an argument and him putting my hands on me, or his hands on me.
Okay.
Yes, that's toxic.
And did you ever assault him?
No,
Not
I
one time.
scratched him. Like I said, I stated before that I scratched him defensively.
But you never assaulted him.
Never, never,
Were
never,
you-
not once.
Were you ever verbally abusive to him?
Verbally, no, I can't, I think, during an argument, you're just screaming at each other, maybe, like arguing. But most of the time, our arguments would be about my daughter, or like what, he wouldn't help me prepare for the baby. Like I had to go buy all of my things for the baby, and he would account for any money that I would ask for to help the baby.
Fair to say, and you described his negative influence on your relationship. Is it fair to say, and I'm paraphrasing, that he was the only negative influence on your relationship? Did you play any part in the
No.
negative?
I'm not gonna take any responsibility for any, escalation and arguments that we had, no.
Okay. Okay. And so before today, when was the last time you saw him?
I don't really see him, even when he comes to pick up my daughter, I have my husband meet him at the door, or I will quickly grab the backpack, so I do not talk to him. I mean,
Okay. Substantial conversation, has it been months, years?
for a conversation,
Yeah.
I would say months, yes. I have communicated over text with him before. And usually that's what something I disagree with that they're doing in their house versus what I do in my house. About our daughter.
And what's your daughter's name?
Genevieve. Mhm.
And you haven't had any opportunities to observe him with Genevieve? in
No, but
Months, is that fair?
to observe him with her, no, I'm not.
Okay.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
State,
Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
should be released.
Yeah.
Subject to recall, Your Honor, but I don't anticipate that, but our position would be that she would not be finally released.
All right, ma'am. You're gonna be free to go about your business right now, but if someone calls you, you remain under subpoena and under the court's order, so you will need to come back if one of the parties decides to call you back. You understand?
Okay.
Thank you. You're free to go now. Thank you. State, please call your next witness.
This time around, the state rests on permission.
Vince, please call your first witness.
Judge, we would call Allison Saylor. And Judge, if we can have a moment to bring her up.
Okay.
She's on the first floor there.
Okay. Is there a witness on this floor that we could get started with?
There is, Your Honor. Yes. Yes. We'll call Christy Pearson. Can I step out in the hallway, Your Honor?
Of course you may.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please have a seat. You would adjust that microphone as about a fist from your, there you go. So you can move it a little closer. The base will get closer to you. If you would, please tell us your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Christy Pearson, CHRISTY, PEARSON.
Defense,
May I proceed, Your Honor?
you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Christy, how are you today?
All right,
The last 24 hours, fair to say that it's been a roller coaster
correct.
for you. Can you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury and how you know Lincoln Pearson?
I'm Christy Pearson, Lincoln's mother. Obviously, I've known him for his whole life.
And I want to talk to you about that. You have obviously been around Lincoln since day one. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about his childhood. Where did he grow up?
He was born and raised in, well, he was born in Austin, I guess. Cedar Park. He was born and raised in Cedar Park. Always very energetic. He was in all kinds of sports, growing up from t-ball to wrestling to baseball, football. He did karate until he got his black belt. He's just always been active, always kept himself busy and very smart kid.
he's just been a joy to have.
I want to talk to you about high school. Was he a good student?
An excellent student. He was in AP classes, he made honor roll, I don't think he made anything under a B. They found out like in third grade that he needed upper courses. He's just all around overwhelming kid.
Have you observed him to be driven?
Very driven. And he's driven with his family, he's driven with his work, he's driven with his daughter. I mean, he just, when he sets his mind, he goes for it.
And from an academic perspective, a good student.
Right. He had a major and a minor in college. After he got his, accounting degree, he wanted to stay and get a finance degree just in case he needed something to fall on later. He planned for his future.
And that accounting degree and finance, is that the career that he's entered into?
It is, he gets a lot of praise with his current workplace. They give him a lot of responsibilities and roles. He's worked his way up in his career so far. I mean,
Has his career from when he started to now, has he had increased responsibilities?
yes,
Has his profile within his company, has it been on the rise?
yes,
And he's worked very hard for those opportunities.
He
Is that
has.
fair to say?
he wants to make sure that everybody knows that that he's responsible and he's a leader and that he can handle whatever accounts they put on him and works with his team members.
I want to take you back to 2018. That was a long time ago, 6 years ago. And you know Dulce, and that is the mother of Genevieve.
My granddaughter.
Yeah. And you have had a chance to interact with Dulce.
Yes.
From your perspective, was that a toxic relationship?
Yes,
From your perspective, did both parties contribute to the toxicity of that relationship?
yes,
I want to visit with you about alcohol in Lincoln's life. Have you had a chance to observe alcohol and kind of the role that it plays in his life?
yes. I mean, I'm pretty much with him nonstop. I mean,
Okay.
he's my child and yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I also want to visit with you about your granddaughter, about Genevieve. Have you had an opportunity since Genevieve was born to observe Lincoln as a father?
Of course.
And that's quite a thing for a mom to experience, a child that you've raised, and to see them go from a child to a parent.
It's amazing. I mean, it really truly is amazing. It's amazing how my child takes the role as a father and a responsibility and how much he adores her and how much he can't wait to see her. And it's just, I mean, she's a good kid too. I mean, she's an amazing granddaughter. And those two are like two peas in the pod and they just have so much fun together.
And Judge, can I approach the witness?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pearson, I want to show you the following photographs, and do you recognize the little girl in those photographs?
That's Genevieve that's on her pumpkin that her and her daddy carved. Genevieve at the zoo with her daddy. Nope, it's Genevieve with the penguins. Such a good girl. That's Genevieve at Christmas at the neighborhood. They have a little Christmas thing that they go to. And that's at the Christmas lights downtown.
And is that Genevieve
That's
with?
Genevieve on her daddy's shoulders. Genevieve and Lincoln at the lights. Lincoln had taken her to see Santa Claus. That's Genevieve on Santa Claus's lap. And here's our daring Genevieve. Her and her daddy went to the bridge and she actually jumped off that bridge with her daddy.
She got some personality.
She
looks like.
does, she does.
Maybe a little feisty.
Yes,
Yes.
very much so.
Absolutely.
That girl's she's got a life ahead of her.
I love to hear it. And who is that?
Lincoln and Genevieve being sweet together.
Who are those two people?
That's at the UT game that Lincoln and Genevieve and my husband and I went to. They had so much fun. She had her little cheerleader outfit on.
Well, I'm a Red Raider fan, so I'll forgive him the burnt orange, but she looks
Hey, I'm in
good.
Texas, Longhorn.
She looks good in burnt orange. She looks much different there,
She
but
was a baby.
who is that?
That's Lincoln and Genevieve when she was just a little tiny baby. He was there and cut her umbilical cord and everything. He was there the whole time for birth.
And how old do you think she is there?
Geez, couple of months old, let's say, maybe 6 to 9, somewhere around there. Oh,
And who is that?
that's Lincoln and Genevieve. She's got her little pinky. Probably around a little older than that other picture.
And
This is recent, maybe 2 Christmases ago, they were writing a Santa Claus letter. And Lincoln and her were doing their little signature with her handprint.
I think we saw some pictures from that
Yeah.
a little bit earlier. Where's that?
That's at that neighborhood Christmas thing every year. They do an alcove and it's a really fun little place to go visit. They were doing funnies on their little wood boards.
Okay. And you recognize the locations and objects in all of those pictures.
Correct,
Is that correct?
correct.
And are they a fair and accurate representation of those locations and people?
Yes.
At this point, we would offer, I believe, defense. I think we have any defense exhibits. 1, 2.
You want punishment.
Oh, okay, thank you. Defense punishment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15.
And then mark. Sir,
They're not.
then I need to mark. No. This is only 15.
Mhm.
Which is like 17.
No, no, it's 15. It's 15.
Judge, upon tendering to the state, we'll seek admission of those exhibits, Your Honor.
May we put you on?
May.
The front in going to photograph of his body. What we should do not have the shot of the images. All of them. Maybe could have been a good father, I think that other stage for itself, I think 15 photographs is excessive.
Other ones.
You were the one to pick one or two, would probably be two. Yeah, we would object to all three photographs. We would allow them to investigate which three photographs they want to select.
One specific person, for at least 7 years, that's showing the actually.
We would.
And the building, two, three, four, five, six. So what the name is, the 1, 2, 4, 3, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7.
So. In the we will be able to 13 and 15. You can see. Here's.
I just want to cover it, and some of them covered not here on this side.
Jeff, what? 6. Defense exhibit 1 through 6 and 10 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
And Ms. Pearson, we're looking here at defendants P1. What is this a photograph of?
Lincoln and Genevieve at our neighborhood Christmas. Every year this alcove goes into this big Christmas field. And that's them having fun. We weren't with them at this time, but we've gone most other times.
And let's look now at P2. What is this a photograph of? And it's hard to see with glare, but P2 is a picture of somebody that appears to be Lincoln and somebody that you've identified as Genevieve drawing something on a piece of paper. What is that?
I actually have that as my phone cover. That's them writing a letter to Santa Claus, not this past Christmas, but the ones prior to. They were getting their Santa Claus letter together to send.
That's an important part of any young child's childhood, isn't it?
And Lincoln's always been real good with traditions, and he wants to make sure that Genevieve has her traditions as well.
Sure. We've crested the hill of Santa Claus with our oldest child, so I can appreciate those times. They're important. Speaking of Christmas, let's look at P10. What is that a picture of?
I think they're at the Trail of Lights downtown, having a good time, walking through that little tunnel of lights. I think it's been a while since I've been there.
Yeah. And how old is Genevieve in this picture?
5.
Let's look at P6. Who is pictured in P6?
That's Genevieve and Lincoln being silly. They're always doing little silly things together and making memories. She might be around 4 or 5 there. I'm not quite sure. Remember.
Okay. Who is pictured in states P5, or I'm sorry, defendants P5?
That's Genevieve on top of her daddy's shoulders on the way to the UT game. We got her little cheerleader outfit, and everything just so she could be a part of that. She wanted to be a cheerleader after that game.
I want to take you back in time a little bit. She looks much different there, but who is this?
That's Genevieve, a couple of months old, I believe, with her daddy. They used to take little naps together and it just shows him already loving his daughter.
And you said that he was there to cut the umbilical cord.
He was at the hospital during birth and was able to cut her umbilical cord, and we show her pictures of that. I have all those pictures. We show those all the time to her, so she knows.
We're looking now at defendant's exhibit P3. Who is that?
That's Lincoln and Genevieve at his grandmother's house for Christmas. And just happened to catch that with them sitting on the sofa together.
And do you remember how old Genevieve was there?
I don't think she was walking yet, so she had to be 8 months maybe. Kind of lose track on age.
Okay, sure. Ms. Pearson, I want to talk to you about Lincoln's journey as a father. Was he in his early 20s when Genevieve was born?
Yes, he was trying to finish college. He'd also found out at the same time that he was expecting a daughter. He found out he had cancer. And he was trying to finish up with his second or his minor, I guess, in finance. All that was going on at the same time, and he still was able to graduate and get the rest, everything.
Fair to say he had a lot going on
Yes.
during that period.
Yes. And in fact, we pretty much found out that he was expecting a daughter. It was closer around like Christmas time, and my kids were involved in a Christmas accident really bad where they were both hospitalized, and that's when they found out Lincoln had cancer, thyroid cancer.
Tell me about that.
That was about the accident.
Yeah, the accident that led to his diagnosis. Tell us more about that.
Dulce was with us that Christmas. We get together with my husband's family, and we had a golf cart. They rent a little place around in between Lago Vista and City Park. And Dulce had given us a package letting everybody know when we let everybody know in the family that Lincoln was expecting a daughter. And anyway, the boys went on a golf cart ride, and all the cousins were together, and they had a crash. They were going too fast downhill and ended up in a rock levee. And my two sons, I think, were mostly on the bottom because they were in the back of the golf cart. It flipped a couple of times. One of my sons went via ambulance, and then Lincoln actually was driven to the hospital. His whole side was cut open. My other one was unconscious. And then they did a scan, a full body scan, and found out that he had thyroid cancer at that time as well.
And that's what started that cancer treatment journey.
Yes, which he's
Okay.
still having to go in for scans and blood work. He takes thyroid medicine. They took out, I think, 11 lymph nodes and his whole thyroid. And he still has lymph nodes around that they have to keep check of. And then, of course, he's on a couple of different thyroid medications and stuff to try to keep him balanced.
And how long is that journey, that cancer journey? How long is that?
Well, his surgery was a couple of months before Genevieve was born. So, I mean, that's been going on 7 years probably now.
Okay.
On the cancer. I mean, a year and a half or two ago, he had a biopsy done, and there's a couple of spots that are kind of still growing, but they're confident they're okay. So we have to keep track of it.
Sure. And there's a medication regime that he sticks to try and keep that cancer in check. Is that fair?
Yes, I mean, they still have him doing scans, I think, once a year on his scans. And then he takes 2-3 different type of thyroid medications because they had trouble with the medications not working with him.
I want to ask you about, in spite of that cancer diagnosis, and in spite of everything that was going on in his life at the time, relevant to school and other responsibilities. As soon as Genevieve was born, did you see, would you agree with me that a lot of young men in their early 20s might have a hard time with fatherhood?
Oh, most definitely, especially when you weren't expecting it.
Was that Lincoln's experience?
Yes, but I mean, he took oh, sorry.
No, that's
misunderstood.
okay. Did you observe Lincoln to have a difficult time
Oh,
becoming a father at a young age?
oh, no, not at all.
Was that something he leaned into?
I mean, you could tell as soon as she was born that he was in love with her already. And then he and Dulce lived with us for a little bit when Genevieve was a little tiny baby.
Have you observed him to be a good father?
Yes, most definitely.
Have
He
you
does,
observed?
he does a lot of things with her, and he talks to her and teaches her things, and they have fun times together.
Does she have a good time with him?
Oh God, she loves her daddy. You can tell it. I mean, she loves, I mean, that's the first thing, and you know, they talk on the phone, and he's gone to her little kindergarten graduation at school, and she just runs up. She's so excited to see him, and
She loved her dad.
oh, most definitely. She won't even be around Mimo when she's with her dad.
Judge may I approach?
Okay,
And Ms. Pearson, this is a video that you reviewed with Liz this morning, and you've reviewed that video. And what is that a video of?
That should be her kindergarten graduation, when she ran up to her dad and gave him a big hug.
And you reviewed that,
Yes,
and is that a fair and accurate representation of that graduation?
yes.
Has it been altered in any way?
Oh, no,
Okay.
I don't even know how to do that stuff.
Judge, this time we'll offer defendants exhibit P17.
Your Honor, we'd object to relevance.
What's the number on that?
P17.
You don't have a 16.
I'll offer it. Thank you. Say, have you seen it?
We've not seen it, Your Honor, but we also don't understand how a video of his daughter's kindergarten graduation would help the jury determine the appropriate punishment in this case.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, may we publish?
GXP 17 is admitted. You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Was that a special moment for you guys and for your family?
I was glad to get to be there, took off, snuck out of work to go be there.
He snuck out of work to be there.
Yeah,
So work's important,
but his child's more important.
absolutely.
Same here with mine.
I want to ask you about this jury's decision. Because this jury has a decision to make about the appropriate punishment in this case. And we've discussed that, or have we discussed based on the jury's verdict that Lincoln is going to have some conditions that he'll have to adhere to for the rest of his life. And we've visited about that, correct?
Correct.
And you understand, or do you understand that he'll have to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life?
Yes, correct.
And that he will have limitations on where he can go, where he can live, based on that. Have we discussed that?
Yes.
And do you have any hesitation in saying that Lincoln will be able to comply with those requirements?
I have no hesitation at all.
I also want to visit with you about probation. We've discussed that as well. Correct? And that standard conditions could be that he would have to be reviewed for any substance abuse concerns or alcohol abuse concerns that he might have. And that he would have to complete treatment related to that. And we've discussed that.
Yes,
Do you think that would be beneficial for Lincoln
yes.
and your experiences with him?
He doesn't have a problem. I think it's more anxiety that, so I know he will be able to move forward and better his, life.
Do you have all of which is going to a goal of abstaining from the use of alcohol or drugs?
I don't think he'll have a problem with that.
That he would avoid disreputable people? Does he have a bunch of
He
disreputable?
doesn't have any disreputable people he hangs out with now, so he has a lot of support.
And fair to say, or would you disagree with me, that his life pretty much revolves around, well, let's strike that, that he would have to report to a probation officer as directed?
Yes.
And that he would have to work faithfully at suitable employment? Does he have any issues working faithfully?
He has no issues. In fact, he works too much, probably.
Okay, fair enough. That he would have to support his dependents, that he would have to be a good provider for Genevieve. And do you have any issue saying that
He hasn't had a problem with it so far. He's always made sure that she's taken care of.
and that he would have to submit to testing to determine if he had been using drugs or alcohol?
He has no problem with that.
That he's going to have to complete, very likely, community service. Volunteering, picking up trash, working at the animal shelter, things like that. Do you have any doubt, given your experience with him and his drive and his determination?
No, because he's always there helping whomever and whatever he needs to do, so.
And I've also shared with you that as a condition of probation, he can be sentenced up to 180 days in jail. Understanding The testimony that you described about Lincoln's drive and determination that he can complete anything he sets his mind to,
Most definitely.
do you have any doubts about his ability to successfully complete probation if this jury assesses that? I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
State,
Judge, can we approach real quick?
yes. Okay.
Proceed, John.
Okay.
Mrs. Pearson, do you love your son?
I do, very much.
You try to help him when you can.
Yes, of course. He would be there for me if he needed help. I mean, I needed help.
Try to protect him.
I mean, he's an adult. I'm his mother. I mean, he does make his choices. But I mean, I'll be there to protect him if needed.
Bail him out when he gets in trouble.
Few occasions, but then again, he's an adult too, and he has to take care of those.
You said just 2 occasions?
I don't know what occasions, you're referring to.
Oh, I thought I maybe misunderstood you. You said you've only bailed him out on 2 occasions, or I just?
Oh, whenever he needs my support, I'm there for him.
Well, you had to do that quite a bit, haven't you?
Not really,
Did you bail him out in California with the DWI?
no,
You bail him out when he got arrested for hitting Dulce with a broom?
bail him out.
Closer to the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. I don't understand what you mean bail him out.
Out of jail, I would probably not do anything.
Oh, well, he needed support on, that, yes.
When you raped Carissa.
Well, I don't believe, but there's nothing to bail him out on that.
And as recently as this summer, you've had to bail him out of yet another problem.
Judge,
I don't
I'm gonna
understand.
object. Can we approach?
Sustained.
And at one point, you even paid Dulce to keep quiet about an assault. Isn't that right?
No, that's incorrect.
What lie did you end up telling his employer about where he is today?
What lie?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't tell his employer a lie.
Okay, what'd you tell him?
I told him that he had family matters to take
Should
care of.
have relevance.
Kind of goes to this witness's bias and credibility.
Overruled.
Well, isn't it true, when you talked to your son last night, you said you'd figure something out, you'd tell him it was a family emergency?
Well, do I want to tell his business place right now until we figure out what sentencing is? Do I want to tell them that he's in jail right now? I mean, I don't need to tell them that right now.
So they don't know he's on trial for sexual assault.
But they know his background.
What does that mean?
They've looked up his criminal records. They know his background.
Do they know that he was in a jury trial this week for sexual assault?
Judge, relevance
If she
Yeah.
knows, Your Honor.
Overruled.
and speculation. What they know.
Overruled.
You can answer.
What was the question again?
Is his employer aware that he is on trial this week for sexual assault?
Not that I understand.
Do you believe people are responsible for their choices
Yes,
and their actions?
Yes.
Okay. You said your son does not have a problem with alcohol?
Well, it doesn't dictate his life.
Okay,
It's not an alcoholic.
okay. For the past 5 years since he was arrested for this crime, have you seen him drink alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. Were you? And in the course of him growing up, you said he was a delightful child, but he's been arrested a number of times. Is that right?
I don't know that he's been arrested several times. I mean, he was a good kid. He was never arrested as a child or
I mean, since then. So he was a good kid, and then he grew up a little
he's a
bit.
good adult as well. I'm not there when he's doing every day-to-day life things.
And he got arrested in 2013, right? When he was in college,
In regards to,
possession of marijuana.
Judge, I'm gonna object.
And, Your Honor, I believe this witness has opened the door.
Judge, may we approach?
May?
He was arrested in 2018 for assault family violence. Is that right?
for what?
Assault family violence.
Yeah, it was a spat between he and Dulce.
Okay. My question.
You may?
And I'll show you State Exhibit P4. You call this a spat?
Yeah.
Okay. He was arrested in 2019 for sexual assault. Well, actually, let me correct that. Arrested in 2019 for DWI. Or DUI in California.
I wasn't with him.
Okay. And then he was arrested in 2020 for sexual assault that occurred in 2019.
This trials regarding that.
Okay. So he has been arrested a few times.
So you pointed that out, yes, ma'am.
Okay. But he's still legal.
Yes.
Okay. And so you don't agree that he makes bad choices?
I didn't say I don't agree that he makes bad choices. Everybody makes bad choices.
Okay. And do you agree that at some point, people have to be held accountable for those bad choices?
Agreed.
Okay. Do you believe your son should be held accountable for his bad choices?
If his bad choices are correct, yes. But when you're falsely accused, you can't pay for bad choices.
Okay. So you sat through the trial this week.
Correct.
Okay, you heard all the evidence, the testimony. Are you telling this jury they got it wrong?
No, and I appreciate the jurors and I appreciate their hard work.
Are you still saying Chris is a liar?
I'm not calling Chris a liar.
Okay. Do you believe sexual assault is a serious crime?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree that people should be punished for committing it?
Yes, I agree.
If your granddaughter was sexually assaulted, would you want that person held accountable?
Yes.
But you don't believe your son should be held accountable in this case?
Although I appreciate the jurors, I agree that they did a wonderful job.
So you testified a moment ago on direct that your son would have no problems abiding by the conditions of probation. Okay, are you aware that would entail not drinking alcohol?
Yes.
Okay, are you aware that he's had a rule that he's not to drink alcohol for the last 5 years? Okay, but he's not followed that rule. Would you agree?
Judge, she's already testified that she's not aware of any bond conditions in the case.
She is aware that he has been drinking though, Your Honor, in the last 5 years.
Overruled.
Well, it's been brought to my attention. I do know.
Okay, so you would be aware then, for the last 5 years, he has been breaking that rule.
I don't know the conditions of the bond.
Okay. You show you State's Exhibit P1.
Yes.
Okay.
See, far would have been up close up. Wait, here's the, what is, let's see it right there.
Okay, so you would agree with me that these rules were put into place in 2020, and there are only 6 rules on this piece of paper. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I can,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so of those 6 rules, one of them is not to consume alcohol.
I see that as number
Okay.
2.
And one of those rules is not to commit any new offenses. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it states in here.
Okay. But your son hasn't followed those 2 rules, has he?
Judge, I'm gonna object.
Overruled.
You can answer. Your son has not followed those 2 rules, has he?
I mean, he's followed most of these rules on here. I mean, he's appeared whenever he needs to appear. This has been a long drawn out, case.
But you testified you've seen him drinking alcohol. Correct. And this
Hold
summer,
on.
you're aware that. he-
Hold on.
Judge,
I didn't get a verbal.
I apologize.
Correct.
Okay, and you're aware that this summer he. was
Judge, I'm
arrested.
gonna object. Can we approach?
Okay,
The conditions?
yes.
The rest of the summer. I'm not usually fine here on it. I think it is both responsive. I think it is both relevant to.
Thank you.
Wait. Why would I mention anything possible? I knew that we have to do that change.
All right, so your family took a trip this summer. Is that right?
We went for my
Ma'am.
mother-in-law's, I'm sorry. We went for my
Relevance,
mother-in-law's services.
Objection relevant.
Your Honor, this goes to the issue we were just addressing regarding responsibility.
Overruled.
So, I'm sorry, you went on a trip,
It was my mother-in-law's, funeral services
okay? And where was that?
in Maine.
Okay. Do you believe Lincoln was responsible on that trip?
Judge, objection.
Overruled.
That he was responsible. He was there for his grandmother's, funeral services.
Okay, was he drinking?
I didn't see him drinking.
And you didn't have to help him out with anything that weekend?
Didn't have to help him out with anything. Not that I recall.
You didn't have to bail him out.
Judge, objection.
Your Honor,
Sustained.
may I respond, Your Honor?
No. Ask your next question.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
And Judge, we would ask that question straight from the record. And that the jury be instructed to disregard.
You'll disregard the last question by the state. Vince,
No more questions, Your Honor. We would ask that she be excused.
may she be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Vince,
Allison Saylor, Your Honor.
you can step down. You're free to go about your business, ma'am. Vince, call your next witness.
Allison Saylor, Your Honor.
Actually, I apologize. I see it's now noon. We'll take our noon break. Let's be back ready to go at 1 o'clock. Remember not to talk to each other about this case. Don't look up anything about this case. Don't talk to anyone else about it. Talk, text, or tweet. It's all to protect the integrity of the process. We will continue back at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
All rise for the jury.